Hello and welcome to another video from me, Rough Swordsman Wargamer. For this video we will be doing a playthrough of a pretty recent release from Fort Circle Games, The Shores of Tripoli, a strategy game designed by Kevin Bertram and concerns the US Navy and Marine Corps versus the Pirates of Tripoli. And this game centres around the fact that after the American Revolution, American merchant ships lost the protection of the British Navy, and in 1785 the loss of that protection took its toll when the Ottoman Regency of Algiers captured two American merchant vessels and took their crew into captivity. Over the next decade, the Americans tried to sort the situation out with the Barbary States, although this had little effect because the pirates kept capturing American ships. Treaties were agreed in the late 1790s, but the cost to the Americans in money was so high, and they decided to send a naval force to the Mediterranean to sort this out. But by the time that was arranged, and they finally departed in 1801, Tripoli had already declared war, and that's where the game kicks off. This is a little-known conflict, but included in the game is a historical supplement with designer notes. So without further ado, let's get over to the Shores of Tripoli. Let's just have a quick look at the setup for solitaire play. For the US, we have 3 frigates in the harbour of Gibraltar, and 3 frigates on the year track here, and as the counter moves along, these come into play and will start in Gibraltar. Frigates roll 2 dice to attack and take 2 hits to sink. For the Tripolitan player, they start with 2 Corsairs, smaller ships in Gibraltar, and the Tripolitan player is basically using those for pirate raids. They only throw 1 die for whatever they're doing and only take 1 hit to sink. You may be wondering why, if these 2 are at war, why they're in the same harbour. Well, Gibraltar was under British control and they allowed both parties to use the harbour as long as they behaved themselves. Over here in Tripoli, the Tripolitan player has 5 Corsairs and these little cubes, which are infantry units, so 4 of those. Also 4 infantry in Benghazi and Dern. Up here we have the holding boxes. In the United States box we've got some extra frigates and the Swedish frigates, which we'll bring in as soon as we can to Tripoli to help us stop the pirate raids. The little boats here that the Americans have are gunboats, and these can be purchased by discarding cards, which we'll talk about in a minute. And those help when we either do a naval combat or a naval bombardment. Our little cubes, the blue ones, represent US Marines, and the white ones are the Arab allies to the US. Over here we've got some extra Corsairs and a couple of frigates. We don't want to see them. And some extra infantry units for the Tripolitans. These Corsairs are the allies of Tripoli and will cause a nuisance if they're placed in these harbours. How do you win? Well, for the American player, we win by either forcing the Tripolitan player to sign a treaty, which is very favourable to the Americans, or by capturing Tripoli by moving infantry units from Alexandria into Dern and Benghazi and then Tripoli. That will allow the Americans to install Hamid Quaramanli onto the throne, as he was very supportive of the Americans. And both the American victory conditions are done through the card deck here. For the Tripolitans, they win by making the cost of the war too much for the Americans in casualties and money. And here, if they collect 12 gold pieces, they win. Also, if the Tripolitan player sinks 4 of our frigates they also win. Up here we have the American core cards, as they're known, and regardless of whether or not we're playing two-player or solitaire, these will come out onto the board, and these are quite powerful cards. This one, Thomas Jefferson, move up to 8 American frigates, resolve any battles that result. And a lot of the cards have this text at the bottom. If you play this as written, you remove it from the game. Here we've got Hamet's army created. We can't do that until the spring of 1804 or later, and we have to have an American frigate in the harbour of Alexandria, which you can just see there. And that will allow us to start moving through to try and capture Tripoli. And this one, Swedish frigates arrive. The yellow frigates there. If we play this, we can place those in what is known as patrol zones. This is where the Americans try and keep the Tripolitan forces at bay and stopping them from doing their pirate raids. So getting those frigates is good news, but it's only temporary. For the Tripolitan player, here is the sort of bot known as the T-bot in this game, and they also have 3 core cards which are used regardless of what type of game you play. And basically what we're going to do when it's the Tripolitan turn is to move along the top row and see if any of those cards apply. And also along the bottom here we've got some battle cards which we can use in addition to other cards played. And because in the solitaire game what's written on these cards isn't necessarily how the card works, we have the solitaire card play requirements on the back of the rule book, and that will tell us exactly how and when to play these cards. I think that's it. If I've forgotten anything, I'll make a note in the video. So let's get going. Hopefully you'll see how the game is played as we go along. And the first turn is spring of 1801, so we'll shuffle the decks before we start, so you don't think there's any jiggery-pokery going on. There we are. And the same with our deck. And the first thing we're going to do is take 6 cards. Put those back. Let's just move the camera a little bit. I think I knocked it. There we go. Okay. Let's have a look what we got. We got, oh dear, send in the Marines. Now this is great late in the game because there's a card, Assault on Tripoli, as you can see there, which lets us assault Tripoli. But that doesn't happen till later on in the game. So what we can do with any card, we can either play it as written, and if we do, then it's removed from the game back in the box, or we can just discard it without doing anything, and that allows us to move 2 frigates anywhere on the board, into harbours, into patrol zones, or to build a gunboat, which will help us with naval bombardments and naval battles. So this one, not so good at the moment. Lieutenant O'Bannon leads the charge. Playable again at the start of a land battle. There's no land battles going on yet, so that's no good. Launch the Intrepid. Whoops. We can roll a die and sink maybe 1 or 2 Corsairs. Or if there's a frigate about, sink one of them. So that's a possibility. Ah, Corsairs confiscated. This is great to get early on in the game because while those 2 Tripolitan Corsairs are in Gibraltar, there's the threat that they can get across to reinforce the other Corsairs in Tripoli unless there is at least 1 American frigate in that patrol zone. That will stop them but that only lasts until the winter of 1801. And actually the T-Bot's first card is Murad Rees Breaks Out, and it says, move the 2 Tripolitan corsairs from the harbour of Gibraltar to the harbour of Tripoli. Any American frigates in the way may first make an interception roll. But if we look on the back of the old rule book, it gives us some more details. Play if there are no frigates in the naval patrol zone of Gibraltar, or if it is the winter of 1801. So they wouldn't be able to do anything if there was a frigate here, but that only lasts, as it says, until the winter of 1801. And then if there are any frigates here, we'll try and stop them with an interception roll. But playing that card means we don't have to worry about them at all. Let's get it in focus. There we are. And that card is put back in the box. So that's a very good option. This is one of the ones we need right at the end. The one we mentioned earlier, Assault on Tripoli. We can't play it until the fall of 1805 or later. So we're going to move all the frigates and the gunboats to Tripoli, and Hamet's army, if it's been formed, they're moving in as well. So no, no good. Lieutenant Sterrett in pursuit. Playable when making an interception roll. Each American frigate may roll 3 dice instead of 2. So if you remember, frigates roll 2, sink corsairs on a 6, but they can roll 3 for that turn only. But what I think I'm going to do is take a chance. It does mean during the Tripolitan player that these 5 corsairs will now go straight out into the open sea and do their raiding. Let's hope they don't get too many gold coins. But I'm going to play that. Playable if there are Tripolitan corsairs in the harbour of Gibraltar. We're going to return them to the supply and remove that card. This, as it says, gets put back in the box. As does this one. And these go back in the Tripolitan supply box. That's our go. So it's the Tripolitan T-Bots go, and they're going to move along these cards here until they can do something. These, as I mentioned earlier, we have to keep an eye on because some of these are played when certain cards are played here or from their deck. And we'll look at those in a moment. So, first one, Constantinople sends aid. Let's look on the back of the rulebook for that one. Here it is. Play if Dern has been captured by Hamet's army. Well, Hamet's army hasn't even been created yet. That's not until the spring of 1804. So no, not that one. Yusuf Karamanli. In 1801 to 1804, play if 2 allies of Algiers, Morocco or Tunis are active, have corsairs in their harbour. In 1805 to 1806, play if 1 ally is active. But no, at the start of the game, nothing is there, so we can't play that. Sweden pays tribute. Playable if it is 1803 or later, and there are Swedish frigates in the naval patrol zone of Tripoli. Hopefully we'll get these out next turn and see and put them here. And then in 1803, they will be removed. So they're only there for a little while. And just to reinforce that, it says play if it is 1803. So the next one, 5 Corsair check. This is one of the solitaire cards and it isn't mentioned on the back of the rulebook because it's pretty self-explanatory. If there are 5 or more Corsairs in the harbour of Tripoli, perform a pirate raid. Do not discard this card. And there we are. Solitaire only. So, are there 5 Corsairs? Yes, there are. And normally what would happen, they would move into the patrol zone and any frigates, either US or Swedish, would try and stop them. But of course, there's nothing there. So they're going to go straight out into the open sea. This is the chance we're taking by getting rid of these Corsairs. So we're going to throw some dice. And if you remember from my unboxing Oh, I think we just drooped a bit there. Let's pull that back. There we are. Hope that's okay. Yes, if you remember from my unboxing of the game, we get a bucket of dice. And some people throw the red dice for the Tripolitans, the blue for the Americans, and the yellow for the Swedes. But I'm not going to bother. I'm just going to throw them as is. I'll leave that up to you. 5 Corsairs. If you remember, they throw 1 die each, and on a 5 or 6, they will get a gold piece. But these cards I mentioned, and I tend to forget them. The first 2 cards concern the first pirate raid that the Tripolitans do. Happy Hunting is one of them. It says, playable when making a pirate raid with Tripolitan Corsairs, roll 3 additional dice. If we look on the back of the rulebook, Happy Hunting, play on the first Tripolitan pirate raid. So they're going to throw 3 extra dice, so that's 8. But luckily, when we play it, it's put back in the box. So they're throwing 5 for their Corsairs, plus another 3 for that card. Oh dear. This game is easy to pick up and play, and it's great fun. But the decisions you make are quite head-scratchy and may well come back to bite you in the bottom. Right, here we go. Oops. Oh, it would be, wouldn't it? Well, there we go. Could have been worse with 8 dice. Just 2. They're off. 2 gold pieces. They now return safely to harbour. But the other card I keep forgetting about when I play is this one. Playable if a Tripolitan raid has just been successful. Place 1 Tripolitan Corsair in the harbour of Tripoli. So merchant ship converted. They've obviously turned one of those into another raider. And just to check on the back here, it says again, play on the first successful Tripolitan pirate raid. So they get an extra Corsair, but that card back in the box. And that's their go over. We now move into the summer of 1801 and we do it all again. As you saw, we didn't have a great deal in the way of cards. Now we can't use these. So we can either discard one to move 2 of these frigates, maybe over here, to try and stop some of those Corsairs. We could throw a die and see if we can get rid of 1 or 2 with that card. Or play this. Our Swedish frigates arrive. We want to get these out, as I say, as early as possible because they're on a clock. In 1803, they will be sent back to the supply. So we'll play that as our turn, and that will get put back in the box. So over they come. At least we've got a couple to try and stop some of these Corsairs. So here we go again. No, that's if Hamet's army has captured Dern. No, that's to do with allies here. Sweden pays tribute. That doesn't happen till 1803, as you saw. 5 Corsair, check. Well, yeah. 6 there now. So they move out, but this time the brave Swedish frigates are going to try and stop them. We do have this card to throw extra dice during an interception, but it only applies to American frigates, so we'll have to save that until another turn. So they're throwing 2 dice each, 4 dice. We need 6s to sink those Corsairs. Oh, we get 1. So one of those gets sunk, but the other 5 make it out into the open sea. So they're going to throw 5 dice. Luckily, those cards are gone now. Fives or 6s. Oh, just the one. We are being very lucky. There we are. And these trundle back to Tripoli. A lot of players leave them actually in there when they do their pirate raids and just throw the dice instead of moving them out and back. I'm doing it to add a bit of flavour. And I said I'd mention these cards. We've got to keep a lookout because these cards happen at certain times or when certain cards are drawn from the Tripolitan deck. The first one is Uncharted Waters, and I'll just show you them. There we go. And that, if we look on the back, play if the Philadelphia runs aground is the T-Bot's active event card, so we've got to keep an eye out for that. This one, Mercenaries Desert, is only playable if General Eaton attacks Dern is the American active card. So no. US signal books overboard. They can't play that until their first pirate raid of 1805, 1806. And this one, the Guns of Tripoli. When Tripoli is attacked during a naval battle. And that one, play in any attack, play in any attack on Tripoli in 1805 or 1806, except for the winter of 1805. Unless the American active event card is Assault on Tripoli. Always play if the American active event card is Assault on Tripoli. Oh dear. Right. So there we are. We've got to keep an eye out for those. But it is our turn. So we move down to the fall of 1801. I always find this interesting, the word fall, that the Americans use for what we know over here as autumn. In days of yore, that was the word us lot over here used for autumn. And I suppose when the ships went across to the new country in the 17th century, they took that word with them. It fell out of favour with us, and we now use autumn. Now, I think we've got a bit of a droop here. Let me just, excuse my hand. There we are, just trying to get that. Okay, so what are we doing? Well, we can't do much. I think what we will do, though, is there's our Assault on Tripoli that card mentioned. It's going to be no good for us. Sorry, let me just tweak. Having a bit of problems with this. Right, let's move those down a little bit. So there's Assault on Tripoli, which is going to do us no good at all. So we're going to discard that. And if you remember, I can either move 2 frigates anywhere I like, or make a gunboat. I'm going to move 2 frigates here so we can sort of reinforce that patrol zone. Right, that's our go. Now, once again, Constantinople sends aid. No, no, no. 5 Corsair check. Yes, they're trying it again. The little tinkers. But first, we'll try and stop them. 2 dice for each one, so that's 8 dice. But I'm going to play this. Lieutenant Sterrett in pursuit. Playable, we're making an interception roll. Each American frigate may roll 3 dice instead of 2. That's not in focus. Is that in focus? There we go. But it's put back in the box. So 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I think that's right. 10 dice. Let's hope we get some 6s. Here we go. Oh, just the 1. And those 4 move out and are throwing 4 dice. So we'll get rid of those. 5s or 6s. Oh, they do a bit better. 2 more. There we are. And they're a third, well, just over a third of the way through now. Winter. Oops, and these come back, of course. Got 3 cards left. We could play that to see if we can sink 1 or 2 of those Corsairs there while they're sort of at low on numbers. That's no good, so we could discard that and move 2 frigates or make a gunboat. We've only got 1 there. We could move it over there. Or Lieutenant O'Bannon leads the charge. That's a land battle, so we could discard that. Options. We could move 2 frigates, 1 from here, for instance, and 1 from here over to Dern to do a naval bombardment to see if we can reduce some of this infantry down. So when we do get Hammett's army in 1804, they might have an easier time getting across to Dern because they won't be able to do a pirate raid. Yeah, let's do that. Let's get rid of these cards. So send in the Marines. We're going to move 2 frigates. We're going to put them both in here. I don't have any gunboats, unfortunately. But it works the same as a pirate raid. We have to throw 2 dice each. And on a 6, we can eliminate one of these units. So that's 4 dice. Here we go. Oh, look at that. 2 of those have gone. And afterwards, these move back to Malta. That's our go. What are they up to? No, 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 it's not 1803. 5 Corsair check. No, there's only 4 now. So we're going to play this card. Raid or build. So when we get here, we have to take one of these cards. And let's see what it says. Morocco declares war. All the tinkers. Right, let's see what that says on the back. And it just says, play immediately for all those declare war cards. So, what have we got? Place 3 Moroccan Corsairs in the harbour of Tangiers. So these orangey ones are going over here now. They'll be able to raid. Unless we get something out there. This back in the box, of course. That's their go. We're now in a new year, 1802. This now goes here. And we get 6 more cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We can have 8 cards in our hand. Doesn't include these core cards. So we've only just got 8. So what have we got here? New ones. Naval movement. One of the best cards. Move 4 American frigates anywhere you like. Resolve any battles. Oh, another one. Okay. Tribute paid. Move 1 American frigate to the harbour of an ally. Tripoli, Algiers, Tangiers or Tunis. Return all the Corsairs from the harbour to the supply. The Tripolitan player receives 2 gold coins. Well, we could move that there. These go back, but they do get 2 more coins, but that's an option. Oh, look, here's one of the victory cards for the Americans, the treaty I was talking about. We can only play it after, it is the fall of 1805 or later, and all these have got to apply. So lots of work to do before that works, so we'll probably get that back into the deck. The Daring Stephen Decatur, playable if either burn the Philadelphia or launch the Intrepid, is the active event card this turn. Roll 2 dice instead of 1 and choose the preferred result. If you remember, we have this card. Launch the Intrepid, so we can throw 2 dice for that. And Prebbles, boys, take aim. That's a naval battle card again. That's of no use at the moment. So, what to do? These might raid if we're going to get down to here again, so we're going to take a card. And some of them do say discard and do a raid or build. And it says if one of the harbours have at least 3 Corsairs and more Corsairs than American and Swedish frigates, they raid. If not, they build a Corsair in Tripoli. We'll take a chance. Play this one. We're going to move that frigate to Tangiers, and then we're going to return all those Corsairs, but they get 2 gold coins. Right, that doesn't get put back in the box. There's nothing here, so that goes in the discard pile. So that moves there. These go back. Keeping their gold down is important, but there we are. Oh, what have we got here? 3, 4. Yeah, nearly 2/3 of the way through. Right, there go. No, 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 no. So, a card. Oh dear. Tunisian Corsairs raid. Right. I know it's got something on there, but we'll look on the back of the rule book first. Here we are. Discard to perform a raid or build action. Please note that it is possible to raid with, for example, Algerine Corsairs by discarding anything really. What they're saying is, if you pick one of these cards and they've got Corsairs in a harbour and we meet the requirements, they can raid regardless of what it says on here. But that goes back in the box. So raid or build. If a harbour has at least 3 Corsairs, well there's 4 there, and more Corsairs than American and Swedish frigates in the corresponding patrol zone. Yes, there's only 3, so they've got more. Well, raid from that harbour. Crikey. So they're coming out. We're throwing 2, 4, 6 dice. I suppose what the thinking is, there's more of them than us, so they may get some through. Their most common sort of victory condition are these gold coins. So we're throwing, what did we say, 2, 4, 6. Here we go. 6s. One. They throw 3. Oops. 5 or 6s. No. Honest gov. Nothing, which is brilliant. They should have moved out there, of course, and then moved back. There we are. So that's their go. They trundle along quite nicely, do the turns once you get into it. Okay, what are we doing? Well, we've got these all over the place. So what I'm going to do, actually, is play that. I haven't got any gunboats yet, but I'm going to move 2, 3 over here. See if we can get rid of some more of these. And we've got as many as those here, so that raid or build might not happen. Some crud on there, we are, it's better. Right, naval bombardment. 4 dice. So we can knock those down. Oh, look at that. 3 6s. Goodbye to you. Didn't need the gunboats. And back they go. For the Tripolitans. No, nothing. No, Dern hasn't been captured. No allies. No, it isn't 1803. It's getting near. 5 Corsair check. No, there's only 3 here. So, raid or build. Take a card. Oh, now they're having a go. The Algerine Corsairs raid. And just to check. So, discard to perform a raid or build action. And if you remember, if a harbour has 3 corsairs, which they do, but they don't have more corsairs than the American and Swedish frigates put together. So they're going to place Tripolitan corsair in the harbour of Tripoli. So they're building up again. They're up to 4, and this goes back in the box. Don't know if I mentioned it, but all Tripolitan cards, once they're played, go in the box. They're removed. That's it. Full. Do I move 3? Yeah, it seems a waste. I'm going to discard. Let's get rid of this and get this back in the deck as soon as possible. Discard that, and I'm going to move, or shall I just build a gunboat? Or shall I move 2 here and try and get rid of some of those? Yeah, when we do the naval bombardment, if I didn't mention it, they can't fight back because they're cowering behind their defences. So we could do that. They're not going to raid. Yeah. Let's cover ourselves. We're going to get another, but not for a couple of turns yet. So, yeah, let's play another one of those. We can move 3 then. I'm just going to move that in there. Those into Benghazi for another naval bombardment. 6s. Nothing. Oh dear. Oh well, it's worth a go, I suppose. They are going next. No, no, no. We're getting near. No. Take another card. Tripoli attacks. Oh, let's check that one. Ah, right. If there is exactly 1 American frigate in the naval patrol zone of Tripoli, no, there isn't exactly, there is 2. And there are at least 5 dice worth of Tripolitan ships, no. Play. Otherwise, discard to perform a raid or build action. Right. So that gets put away, and they are back to 5. Winter. Well, it's getting a bit dodgy. I think what we'll do is we'll discard a card and move those 2 frigates in Malta into Tripoli, because they're going to come out and do their pirate raid now. So we'll get rid of that one. That's about land battles. And we'll pop those there. That's it. Right. No, no, no. Next turn. Yes. So out they come. But this time we've got quite a chunky lot of frigates there. That's 6. That's 12 dice. Just checking in case there's any of these applying that I keep forgetting about. No, Philadelphia runs aground. General Eaton attacks Dern. No. No. Right. 12. Ooh. We've got 1, 2. Well, I'll say, ooh, it's only 2 out of 12 dice. Nothing else there. It's all good to see with so many dice. No, just the 2. They are throwing 3 now. So we'll get rid of these. And see what they get. 5 or 6s, of course. No! We are being extremely lucky. And they should have gone woof and back again. Right. That's it. Spring of 1803. Another frigate. We get 6 more cards. Let's hope we get some better ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What do we get? Congress authorises action. We can place 2 American frigates on the following year. Show of force. Move 3 American frigates to the harbour of an active ally of Tripoli. Well, there's nothing there at the moment. Again, it's a bit like the other one. where we can get rid of any allies that are there. Another naval movement, which is always good. Get in focus, there we are. Ah, burn the Philadelphia. That's this one as well. Playable if either burn the Philadelphia or launch the Intrepid is the active event. So this one, oh, it's to do with frigates, this one. If there's any Tripolitan frigates, but there aren't any, thank goodness. So we can still use the daring Stephen Decatur for the launch the Intrepid. So that might be discarded. Hammett recruits Bedouins. Still away, still a few turns off. So I think that's going to be discarded. And another naval movement. Right. The thing is, we could discard, make a gunboat. We haven't made any gunboats yet, but we're doing all right. A naval movement isn't much good. That's 4. We don't want to move anything at the moment because unless, hold on, unless, I'll tell you what, let's play that and move 4 and be a bit daring, and we're going to go and do a naval bombardment on Benghazi. Eight dice. Oh, 2. Lovely. Back they go. Okay. I think I should have discarded a card. I played 1, 9, so I've got to discard a card, I think. So we'll just discard that one. Sorry about that. I've now got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, plus the naval battle, 8. I think that's right. Hope it's right anyway. Okay. Tripolitans. No. No. Sweden pays tribute. Play if it is 1803, which it is. Return the Swedish frigates to the supply and receive 2 gold coins, but that gets removed. So, oh dear, look. They only need 3 more. But that's their go. Summer. We could play our naval movement, which I think I will. I'm going to move 1 there, 2 there, and 2 here to see if we can finish these off. 6s. Oh, get another one. Back they go. No. No. 5 Corsair check. No. Take a card. The Philadelphia runs aground. Now hold on. We've got this. Roll 2 dice instead of 1 and choose the preferred result. So what's that all about? The Philadelphia runs aground. Right. The Philadelphia runs aground. If there is a frigate in a naval patrol zone of Tripoli, play immediately. Otherwise, add to the end of the event card line and draw another card. There are American frigates. Roll 1 die and apply the result. So, but we can play this for the Tripolitans where we're going to roll 2 dice and choose the best one. I like the sound of that, but that gets taken away. It's only 1 die. So I'll put that there. I'll keep that there for reference. So they can throw 2 dice and pick the best one. Let's see what happens to the frigates. 5, that's the one they're going to be using. Frigate captured. What? Take the American frigate as sunk and place one Tripolitan frigate in the harbour of Tripoli. No! So sunk. I assume that becomes part of the victory conditions. And the thing I was dreading is our captured American frigate, now painted in the colours of the Tripolitan Navy. So we get rid of that. That's no good at all. Fall. We'll probably make this the last turn. Been going on a bit. So what are we doing now? Oh my goodness me. Those don't count, I think, as ships to do pirate raids. No, I think these are just here to protecting Tripoli. So what are we going to do? Oh, dodgy. We could play this. See if we can, get a high score and sink that frigate and use this as well. So we can throw, like they just did, throw 2 and pick the best. Should we try that? Let's try that. Don't like the sound of that frigate. So, let's just keep, what am I doing? These both get discarded. Silly sausage. Right, we'll keep that for reference though. So 2 dice. Come on, we need 5 or 6. Look at that. I'm having that one. Goodbye to you. That's a good result. That gets discarded. And the Tripolitans. No, no, no. Raid or build. Tripoli acquires Corsair. Place 2 Tripolitan Corsairs in the harbour of Tripoli. What? Let's just check. If there... Where are we? Here we are. If there are at least 2 Tripolitan Corsairs available in the supply. Yes, there's tons. Play immediately. Otherwise, add to the end of the event card line and draw another card. The event card line, by the way, because this caught me out in an earlier playthrough I was doing. Sweden pays tribute is the end of the event line. So any cards that say play at the end of the event line, you would place them here and then work down before you got to these 2. So, as I say, that caught me out in an earlier game, but that gets discarded. Last turn of this playthrough video. What the heck are we going to do? Well, I think we'll play that one. So we get some extra frigates, because we're at the end of the year now. So we discard that one. So these 2 go on here. And that's our turn. And now, for the last time in this video, yes, as I mentioned in the video a bit earlier, I've had to cut in because, of course, I forgot to add the Tripolitan Corsairs to the harbour of Tripoli. And after playing the card that placed those frigates there, I moved along and, of course, did a raid or build instead because I didn't put them there. There's still only 3. But now it's going to be a 5 Corsair check for this last turn. So apologies for this. So they're going to move out. And we've got 2 Corsairs there. So we'll put that there. And we're going to throw 4 dice. We need 6s. Nothing. Oh. Whoops. They move out. I'm throwing 5 dice. They only need 3, remember. 3 more. Gold pieces. No, look at that. Wow. That's actually quite good because when I incorrectly did the raid or build, nothing happened there either. So the actual situation of the game hasn't changed. So that's great. But we will leave it there. It's gone on long enough, this video, and we'll continue and see if I can do the next video without any mistakes. That's highly unlikely. But anyway, there we go. So in the next video, we're going to move the year counter along. We are going to get 3 more frigates. We can actually, if I remember to place a frigate in Alexandria, be able to do Hamet's Army Created and hopefully start to move along the coast there. But we'll see what happens. As you know, when I make a video, anything can happen. Well, I hope that was of interest and you enjoyed it. If it was and you did, and you haven't done so already, it would be wonderful if you would consider subscribing to the channel. Really does help. Pushing the like button of the video also helps. And the bell if you want to be informed of other content that the channel uploads. Leave a comment. Have you got this game? And if you have, are you enjoying it? If you haven't, has having a look at how it's played maybe changed your mind to go and check it out? Let me know. I love to read them. Thanks as always to my subscribers. Thank you very much. And one last thing, if you want to support the channel a little bit further, now you can. You can buy the channel a coffee. Those coffees are a great help in allowing the channel to continue to upload new content. If you wish to check that out, I shall leave a link in the description, and thank you. Well, at the moment it looks like we're on dodgy ground with only 3 more coins for the Tripolitans to get, but we'll see how we get on next time. So, until then, as always, you take care and goodbye.